wanted to be the hero, but turned into the villain. Something like the Penguin, never like Bruce Wayne. I came from the gutter, not addicted to the fame, but the streets know my name, beat them at their own game. 20 years later, claim the head of the table. I'm my brother's keeper, but more Cain than Abel. Eliminate your bloodline, I'm the tribal boss. Murder so many tribes, call it Tribe Lord Ross. It's a scary story, son, and all these rappers sending in the morgue. Never did it for the glory or the hot taste, did it for Grandma Ruby, who said I was special right out the gate. So continue to hate when you failed to see. You took your best shot and you bricked your three. The BSO legacy like the Bulls dynasty. My G, it looks like you need some milk. Let me call RG3. These are facts, not feelings. 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 It's the Headline King Robert Littal. In some regards, I understand the frustration of my Caucasian brothers and sisters. The one thing about life is you don't get to choose how you're born into it. Sometimes you get born to Jay-Z and Beyonce. Other times you get born into a crackhead. It's just a roll of the dice. So I can understand how some white people can be triggered by the term white privilege, in the sense that many of them struggled when they were growing up. Maybe their parents struggled when they were growing up, and they had to work very hard to get to where they are today. And therefore, they look at the word privilege as a slap in the face. It's an understandable response. Unfortunately, I think they're looking at it from the wrong perspective. They're looking at it from a singular perspective as opposed to a societal perspective. Simply what it means is, are we truly equal in everything that happens? Is there true equality in every decision that's made? Simply put, if I came from the same background as you came from, and we both worked equally hard at what we do, who would be provided more opportunities? Who would be treated more fairly? Who would be less paranoid about the things that are going on around them in the world? Those are just facts. And they've been proven time and time again. If you just look at the discrepancy in home loans for black families as opposed to white families. If you look at how the educational system is used, the distribution of promotions and things of that nature. Those are facts of a privilege that being white gives you. Doesn't mean that you haven't worked hard. Doesn't mean that you don't deserve everything that you've gotten. It doesn't mean that you should be ashamed of what you've gotten. It's not your fault specifically that you're given better opportunities. It's a societal problem, not a singular problem. And when it comes to sports, that also carries over. But not in the sense that you may think. If you go to a football game, you go to a basketball game, you go to a soccer game, or whatever it may be, the demographics of America are highlighted very strongly at those venues. It's the majority white males that you see at these events. Psychologically speaking, people relate more to people that look like them. So it's not unusual if a white athlete in a black dominated sport gets a little boost if they're actually good. When Caitlin Clark spoke about getting everything that she got because she earned it, but also acknowledging there's some privilege involved, there's a component that I'm sure that she's aware of. That being this quote unquote all-American girl, being from the Midwest, coming from Iowa, of course it resonates with a big portion of America. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of about that. There's nothing to be triggered by that. It's just a fact. But also, what's also a fact is that she's not the first white basketball player ever to be good in the WNBA. If it was strictly a privilege thing, these other white WNBA players who have been in the league, Hall of Famers, WNBA champions, they would have been as popular as Caitlin Clark. But we know that's not the case. Because no matter if you're white, you're black, you're Asian, whatever it may be, there's an organic nature to the type of popularity that Caitlin Clark has. There's an organic nature in the fact that she supersedes every WNBA and college basketball player that came before her. You can't fake that. You can't just have one side do that. It has to be global. It has to be worldwide. It's just a component. Simply the Eminem conundrum. It was tough for Eminem to break into hip hop because he was a white rapper in a predominantly black culture. But once he broke into it, the reason that he still can make a #1 album 20, 25 years after his debut, that's organic. That's because he's talented. He has something. He has it. You don't be that popular for that long just off the color of your skin. Ironically, this happens also in reverse. Even though Tiger Woods, I wouldn't say embraces his blackness, black people do get a kick, or did get a kick, out of Tiger Woods taking over a white dominated sport. Tiger Woods, y'all. Even though he didn't embrace it, the culture embraced it. Serena Williams, something else that we got a kick for seeing a black female dominate a predominantly European and white sport. So it's not unusual for a culture or a race to grab on to someone who's extremely talented and put them on a pedestal. We all have certain privileges, just depending on what we do in life. You know, there's rich privilege, there's media privilege, there's white privilege. We all have some variation of privilege. And instead of being upset about it, just acknowledge it. Embrace it. If I was white and I knew I can get a reasonable home loan and I'm not going to get screwed That wouldn't bother me. Be actually happy about that. I'd be happy to know if I got pulled over by the cops, there's a less likely chance of me getting shot or abused or harassed. If I knew that I can go to a store and there's a less chance of being followed or being harassed or people thinking I can't afford something in the store, I'll be happy about that. That's one less thing that you have to worry about because there's a lot of things to worry about in life. You worry about your family, you worry about your friends, you worry about your job, you worry about the war, you worry about politics. If I had the privilege of not having to worry about other things that I know that black people have to worry about, if I'm not Middle Eastern and I don't have to worry about if I get on a plane getting dirty looks, you think they like that? You think they like every time they go to the airport knowing that somebody's going to give them the side eye? I'm sure they don't. As a black person, I have privilege. I don't have to worry about that. Nobody thinks black people are going to bomb a plane. You should be happy when you have certain privileges. They said Jalen Hurts has pretty privilege. Dominique Foxworth on ESPN. He was joking, but it's a thing. If you're good looking, things are easier for you. These are facts. If you're ugly, they're harder. I hate to break it to you, but we're talking about facts, not feelings. If you're ugly, life is harder. Doesn't mean that you can't be a success. Doesn't mean that you can't overcome it. And it doesn't mean just because you're pretty that you're a good person. But if you're ugly, it's a little bit harder. If you're good looking, it's a little bit easier. If you make $40,000 a year, it's tough. If you make $400,000 a year, it's a little better. It's a little easier. Doesn't mean that you're better or worse than the person that makes $40,000. Doesn't mean that in your heart or in your head that you're happy. Just some things are a little easier. You have one less thing that you have to worry about. You can pay your bills. You can put your kid in a decent school. You don't have to worry about your car if it breaks, getting it fixed, or your air conditioning. It's little things that is a privilege. Jalen Hurts looks like old boy from The Young and the Restless, Shamar Moore. I'm sure that helps with certain things. I'm sure with advertisers or sponsors or businesses, hey man, this would work. Let's put them in a suit. Privilege is a thing worldwide. It doesn't determine the type of person that you are, doesn't determine your happiness, it doesn't determine if you earned or not earned what you've gotten. Like I said, when we're born, it's just a crapshoot. LeBron James was born, tough situation, made it out, became one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He made it out that situation so he can get his boy Bronny in the league. So he doesn't have to go through that. That's privilege. There's privilege. And that's okay. And it's fine. Because that's what it's supposed to be. So, my Caucasian brethren, the good looking folks that are out there, it's okay. If somebody says, hey, you have white privilege, say, yeah, I do. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm glad that I do. Because I don't have to worry about certain things that you worry about. Somebody calls you pretty and say, yeah, pretty. Yes. Yes. Ask your girlfriend, ask your wife. Like, when was the last time she paid to get in the club? If your wife, back in the day, asked her. Say, well, like, did you ever pay to get in the club? And your wife's like, wife started laughing. Yeah. She had pretty privilege. Saved herself thousands of dollars. She ain't paid for a drink since 1989. When she was 19 years old. That's the last time she's ever paid for a drink. It's okay. Privilege is a positive. When I go to the Super Bowl, and I'm watching the game in a seat that probably costs $5,000. That's privilege. You never see me apologize about it. Hell, I get free popcorn.